Whenever I demo a new synth, I undoubtedly get comments about how all new synths are the same and there's nothing interesting coming along. So it's refreshing to see something that's been brave enough to do something completely different coming on the market. This is the WoFi, or the WoFi, by Kiviak Instruments, and it was started via a Kickstarter campaign that raised over €100,000. And it's not a synth, I suppose, it's a sampler, but it's built from the ground up with a completely different approach than anything else I think I've used. Although it uses mono samples and emulates, or at least is inspired by, lots of vintage kit, it's got Wi-Fi built in and has a cloud-based sample editor and librarian you can use for free. The hardware is a light-hearted and fun design, almost toy-like, but we've got a big blue cut-off knob for the digital 12 or 24 dB filter. We've got a nice clear screen and a little touch strip below it. We get a built-in mic, a built-in speaker, and a 16-step sequencer. So, as it seems to be built on a load of nice little ideas, I thought I'd go through my favourite little ideas on it rather than a function-by-function walkthrough. And the first of these cool little ideas is up here on the left. We've got different machines for the samples. So from nice, clear, crisp 48 kilohertz 16-bit, we start dropping. We get to something like an S950, that's 12-bit. Much clearer 16-bit. SP-1200, much crunchier. And then these little 8-bit machines, I'm not sure what these are. One's a Casio, is it? And one's a Yamaha V33, VSS33, something like that. Well, that's lovely, that, isn't it? Back to clear. Literally crystal clear. And then these are some of their own algorithms thrown in, reducing the bit depth and the like. Tells you down here, 8 bits, 18 kilohertz, 4 bits, 18 kilohertz, 3 bits, 4 kilohertz. That's a killer, isn't it? 2 bits, 1 bit. So yeah, 16-bit 48, 16-bit 48 again. But these use different algorithms. If you look at the linear interpolation, we've got sync and sample and hold interpolations, and these are different. These are different interpolations of the way the samples are played across the keyboard. The manual says these styles include different playback algorithms influenced by interpolation modes such as sample and hold, linear, and Whittaker-Shannon. That's the SINC, the sync one. But that's really nice, isn't it? And what you'll notice is that it's doing this on the fly. Whereas most things you've got to resample. And this means you can, as I'm doing here, you can change it as you play. And another nice little idea, while we're on nice little ideas, is this. We've got different revisions I've placed in here. Anyway, saved on each patch, you can save loads of different revisions of it. So while you're playing, you can change your revisions. So you can put LFOs, you can put different filters on. In fact, let's reduce the filter. Do something like that. If we save that, it'll save it as a new revision. So save the loop, just save it again, and we've got another one. There it is. Come back into this. That's this that I've just made with the cutoff. Dropped. Over here as well, we've got pitch, stretch, and glitch. If we come back to a nice bright one, pitch it. Cool. Stretch it. So this is all happening live, remember. Not like an Akai where you push it and wait for a couple of minutes. So you've got a different vibe down there. About the same speed, about 125, but stretched. Let's do a bit more. A bit like on Akais where you'd sample stuff fast. You play a record fast and sample it so that you could stretch it out and you get more sample time. Or yeah, you get more sample time in your sampler. You can fit more samples in there at least. There we go, that's the sound, isn't it? Let's stick that on a SP-1200. Yeah, it's cool. Stretch it a bit more and drop the pitch. Proper old school dirty beat. It's great, isn't it? Nice. And here we've got the second nice little idea, which is the cloud-based library. And I know what a lot of you are thinking. You don't really want your hardware dependent on software or on clouds, and it's not dependent on it. You can use it if you want. It is there, but you don't need it. And it's free, by the way. No charges for using all this. So if we go to samples, there's some samples I loaded into mine, and we can go in. Here's that drum loop, actually. We can go in and edit that drum loop. Got start and end points. We can do basic editing in this. We can normalize, do some time stretching or compression. Got fade in. Oops. Let's have a listen to that. Change the end point. Is that the start and end point of the fade? Let's try a longer fade. And we can undo all this. We can crop it. We can cut selections out of it. It's very basic editing, but it is there and it is quite useful. But let's load a new one in. Oh, and nothing's saved until you actually save it there, and then it saves it on the cloud itself. We go to here and upload a sample. Let's drag a file in. The sample rate, the synth uses 48 kHz 16-bit samples in mono, so this will convert it as you upload it, which is really handy actually. And we've got some batch conversion options down there, but let's just upload that. There you go, let's upload it quick enough, and then we play it. We all know what that sounds like. Then we can go and edit it. So let's only have half of it, shall we? Let's slice it right down the middle, zoom in. Cool. And then we've got 0 crossing points as well, so it will find the 0 crossing so you don't get those little glitchy sounds. We can really zoom in there. Almost at a sample level. I'm going to move it across, actually, if we can. Try that now. So I can save that sample. Actually, let's crop it, shall we, to avoid any confusion. Let's crop it. Now let's save it. So if we go back to my samples, here it is. Should be half the length. Yep. And then I can send that to the WoFi, to the hardware. I get this a fair bit actually, and it's just, you just got to give it a couple of seconds and it'll do it. Just refresh the page. Don't know why it does that. Well, there we go. This is actually loading it into the WoFi as we do this. So coming back in here, go to internal, we've got patches, we've got samples. So it's called the armor and break. Have we got it in here yet? There it is. Let's have a listen. Let's load it in. Well, at least it's in here. Let's go and edit it, shall we? So let's go back to patch. Let's go to the default patch. There we go. It's on loop. Change the sampler. Stretch it a bit. Let's get rid of that. Release. Here now. Cool, now I'm enjoying this. And you can sample on the machine itself and then send it to the website. If we come back into the options here, then we go to menu, we go up to the menu there, send, and this sends it to the cloud. Next up then is this texture. It's only got a single effect on this, and this is it. And it's a bit like a cross between a, what would you say, like a granular delay and the shimmer. It's quite unusual really, considering we've got all the lo-fi stuff on the left. Over here we sort of go into the 21st century. So yeah, a bit of an odd choice, but interesting. As I say, they're being brave with the design on this. You know, you might expect something like a space delay or some tape saturation or other lo-fi effect. So to go with a very modern granular shimmer is interesting. Just changing what that Chaos is doing there with weird little space hexagons. This is actually a sample from the Colossus, the Analog Solutions Colossus, a huge big modular system with 12 voices, all slightly sloppy. Just an oscillator, but it's nice, isn't it? And they have got this as a plugin as well. You can buy that for €49, I think. In fact, we can use a touch strip to do that. Let's learn the touch strip. Learn, put into learn mode. There we go. So. So yeah, really nice, isn't it? I can't remember if I mentioned the touch strip before, but there it is. And while I'm showing that, I'll show you what you do with the LFO as well. So learn the LFO, we'll learn the filter again, just because it's more obvious to hear. Intensity, turn that up. This goes incredibly slow. It's that a minute and a bit. Another nice idea are these memory cards. They're a little bit gimmicky, they say so themselves, but it's a little hark back to the fun they had playing computer games and memory cards used to get on computer games. These hold 100 meg, same as the machine itself, same as the hardware, which is 18 minutes worth of 48 kilohertz 16-bit mono samples. Also saves, I think it's 200 samples and 50 presets. So yeah, a fun little thing, and it does go with the sort of fun ethos of the hardware. Next up then, I should really mention its connectivity. We can connect it to your Euro rack with the CV ins, outs and sync, as well as standard 5-pin DIN MIDI and USB MIDI. And the USB can also be used to connect to the app, which you can use in the same way as the cloud. Updating firmware and a library and stuff. So if you don't want to use the cloud or don't want to connect it to Wi-Fi, you can always use this. I've not used it myself, there's this big warning message to say disconnect the machine from Wi-Fi to avoid conflicts before using this, and I don't want any conflicts, and the internet's working for me. It's not broke, don't fix it, but this is there if you need it. You can also power it via USB-C if you like, and it's got a battery. If we take the power out, magic, it's still lit. Let's start that. I'm trying to get something going. Let's change the mode on that to steps. There you go. You can see stuff's happening. But I've unplugged it. Magic. If you do want to charge it though, you do need to use the charger that comes with it. I did try and charge it using USB-C and didn't understand why it wasn't charging. That's because I'm an idiot. All the little things I've not mentioned, you saw me just playing with that there. We've got different modes that we can use. So we've got step mode on the sequencer. So if we load in one of the patches that's got a sequence in it, go to internal patches. Let's come back again to actually exit. And I think horror movie, this has got one. Like that. Play. I'm in edit mode, I can play over the top of that. Yeah, I'm playing too fast for that. That was only playing in eighths, wasn't it? Or if you're not in edit mode, you can transpose it. So you can use it like an arpeggiator. So revisions we've seen, and that's when we're playing different revisions of the same tone. Cue points is another mode. So we've got this sample here. If we go to edit that sample, we go into the samples, then we go to, where is it? We're in edit. Yeah, edit. Okay. There's the sample. We can have up to 16 different cue points in there. I've set a couple on this one, so take it off loop. So I'm splitting that sample up. So cue point 1 is just the whole thing. Cue point 2 is a hi-hat. Cue point 3 is a kick. Cue point 4 is another kick. I'm showing this on a beat. It's not intended for beats at the minute, but it will be interesting. I think they're working on a way of making it so that you can chop your cue points up and then sequence your cue points. So get a beat, chop it up, and then make different sequences with the same beat, hopefully. That is in the works, but it's not being sold with it at the minute. But, so if we go to cue point 4, you can change the start point. Actually, let's zoom in. Zoom. The only thing I'd say with this is it's actually quite hard to see what's happening. Put on once. Zoom out. There are little red lines on there. The camera's probably not picking up. They are quite hard to see. This really reminds me of playing with an S950, so the S950. Because even though you've got the graphics there, they're not actually that useful really. You have to keep on trying to find where you are on it. So you use your ear, which is quite cool anyway. It's not really intended for this sort of thing, but as it has a picture of an S950 and an SP-1200, it really does make you want to do some beaty things as well, rather than just lo-fi pads and keys. So it'd be interesting when all that's available, but yeah, if you've got pads and keys, you can change the start points and play different revisions or different cue points as well. And then we've got this compose mode. And this isn't finished yet. I was trying to work out what it does, but I can't because it's not quite been implemented properly. But steps, revisions, and cue points are there. Cue points can chop up your sample, but we can't yet sequence them like that. It'd be nice if we could sequence them, or sorry, chop them up and have a pad per sample or pad per cue point. Recording is a really simple affair. We've got it on mic input there. We can use the line inputs at the back. Put into record mode. We're now in record mode. We can hit a note to put the reference note, as it were. Then we push record and it'll start recording once you release your finger. So Starsky's first recording. Press it again to stop. You can see it went, I don't know if you could see that because my head might have been in the way, but it goes solid blue when you're recording. Let's have a listen. Starsky's first recording. Starsky's first recording. Starsky's first recording. It's not actually my first recording, to be fair. First recording. Starsky's first recording. Starsky's first recording. Starsky's first recording. Some weird little clicks and stuff in there, but Starsky's first recording. Starsky's first recording. Well, that's how simple it is to do it. And then obviously you can go into that recording and you can go internal to look for the sample. Should be the last one in there. There it is. Let's go and edit that. So menu, edit. Starsky's first recording. And then you're up and running and you can upload that to the website. Let's do that, shall we? Should we upload that to the website? Send. Okay. Send to my Wi-Fi, my WoFi, or mywo.fi. That's it, it's gone. There you have it, the WoFi from Kiviak Instruments. It's a really interesting bit of kit. I think I've showed you everything that I intended to show you. I think I mentioned all the bits that could do with a little bit of improvement or a little firmware update as they go along. Things like the cue points and maybe being able to sequence the cue points. Another nice one will be multi-samples for drums. It doesn't do multi-sample, it doesn't do layering, it doesn't do splits at the minute, but if you could load in 10 drum samples, and put them across the keys or across the pads, that would be a very funky thing for it to be able to do. Turn it into like a lo-fi drum machine as well. Turn it into my S950 almost. Other things, you don't get much control over the samples. Crossfading isn't here, so you can on the website do the 0 crossing points, but you can still hear the loop points. So it's meant to be lo-fi, Wi-Fi and lo-fi, WoFi, that's how you say it. And it would be nice to add the cue points to the web as well, just because it's a little bit fiddly on the machine. And the only other thing I'd say is that it can be a little bit laggy, like between it and the website. Every now and then you'll load something onto the website and you'll think it's there and it looks like it's there and it's not. The website's just doing some stuff behind the scenes. But if you go back in a few minutes, it's there. But don't expect things to happen absolutely immediately, because you'll get yourself frustrated thinking it's not working when it is. It's just going to take a little bit longer than instant. So I think overall, this will be one of those instruments that's a little bit divisive. I can see lots of people loving the originality. I love the way it sort of looks. I love the fun ethos behind it. I love what it's trying to do. I love the fact that you can change all the bit rates and stuff on the fly. There's lots of little things I can do on this that I can't do on other stuff, and for me it all lays around those beats, but I'm not sure that's what they intended. I think when I've seen other people using it and seeing them at Super Booth and stuff like that, it tends to be lo-fi pianos and Rhodes and stuff like this, but I really like the beats on it. And I can also see the lack of multi-timbrality and layers at the minute being a real deal breaker for some. But overall, it's a really fun thing. It's not cheap, it's about €680 at the minute. Check it out if you're looking for something that thinks a little bit out of the box. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was of some use to somebody somewhere. If it was, please do subscribe, ring the bell, join me over on Patreon. As you know, this channel is supported by affiliate links, so if you're going to buy one, do click on one of the affiliate links in the description. And it's also funded by my wonderful patrons who, for less than the price of a dodgy coffee a month, get access to patches, samples and all sorts of other little goodies. You can also get some of our patches and samples on my website, that's starskycar.com. You can pay for them, and there's some that you can get for free, but nice if you buy some of the cheap ones. As I always say, it all does help to support the channel. So thanks for staying to the very end. I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you next time.